I got some new stuff. Hello folks, welcome to Netcruzer RC. Alright, it's been quite a while since we did a dedicated RC video down here in the workshop. I believe the last one we did was about a month ago, where I did a fleet update, 2020 fleet update. Some things have changed since then. The RCs that I talked about selling, which was the Konghead and the Durango DETC 410, those are both gone. The Tamiya Konghead has been sold off, and the Durango DETC 410 roller has been sold off. Those went pretty quick. With everyone home during the pandemic, actually I've been finding that online sales have been much easier to deal with than they have been for the past few years. So that's a good sign. Really, I should get some other stuff ready to sell. I have some other RCs I don't really use that much over there, which do need to be cleaned up and sold off. Anyway, during that last fleet update video, I showed you that the last new RC that I got was this Tekno EB48.3. I just have not had the time that I thought I would have. My work has not slowed down. It's gotten busier, to be honest, so I have not really put any time into RC that much. I've just been doing virtual RC racing some nights when I get free time, and then also I've been putting a lot of more time into my real car, my one-to-one car, my Golf R. So this is still sealed. Still fully sealed, hasn't been touched. I'm going to build this year, but I'm really not in a rush to do it. What I have been doing is I have been maintaining some of my other RCs. A bunch of parts here from that was out of my EB410. It has a new front diff case, and a new gear was completely stripped out from when I had cracked through my diff case. So these parts are all garbage now. I'm just going to throw them away. There's no need to keep these anymore. I tend to hoard broken stuff, and I really shouldn't do that. Like, I've got a mess of stuff here that you really don't need to see, but my X-Max is still not put back together, but most of my race cars are. The tracks are starting to reopen. There's some limited practice time being opened. Everyone's doing social distancing. You have to go, bring your own equipment, stay away from everyone else, bring your own sanitary equipment. They're starting to get things going again. That's a good thing. All my race cars are pretty much ready to go. So that's my Typhon, my Tekno EB410, and there's my TLR 22 Elite there, and my Truggy is down there. Both the 22 and the EB410 are fully serviced and ready to go. Now, the 8-scale buggy is the Arrma Typhon. It's a version 2 Arrma Typhon, and it's not really technically a race car, although I have raced it on and off for many years. An opportunity came up where another 8-scale buggy came up on the market, and I snagged it. This is now the newest addition to the RC fleet, a Tekno EB48.3. So this one, I think these came out around 2015, 2016. 0.3 revision of the EB48. They're currently now, the latest new model is a 2020 model. It's the EB48 2.0. There was an EB48, an EB48.2, a 0.3, a 0.4, and now they're at the EB48 2.0, completely new design. I researched the 2.0 a bit, and I was looking into it. I watched a couple other videos. I'm not really all that on board with some of the changes they made to the 2.0. I'm sure it's amazing to drive, but just for what I see you get in the kit, I feel like these 48s are the original 1.0 versions of the 48s are still excellent RCs. This one's a 0.3. I had been looking to get the EB48.4 on clearance. A lot of the online big hobby shops clearing out the 48.4s, and for a few weeks there, one of them, I think Tower, was allowing their coupons as well on top. I missed out, and they sold out, so I didn't get one of those. And then like a week later, this one popped up online. This is a local race car. It's actually the winner of the last three years or so at our local track, GFX Raceway, before we moved over to Electrosport. Now, Electrosport is not a 10-scale track, so that's why this is being sold off, because we don't really have a local 8-scale track up and running right now. But this just went up on the market, and it came with a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to show you what it came with, and it was a good price. Sold. I now have a real 8-scale buggy, a real race breed 8-scale buggy, that is. So this is the 0.3, and it is currently in slider state, but it does have a servo. So it came with a Savox servo, a pretty good race one, a SC1267 steel gear. And this buggy is pretty clean for being a race car, and I know it's raced for probably 3 or 4 years, on and off. It doesn't get raced every week. I know personally the racer who used to own this car, And you know, he's an excellent driver, one of the fastest in my region. So this is a winning car owned by a winning driver, and I'm not even going to mess with his setup. I'm just going to put some electronics in it and get it going. This is pretty much in a slider state right now, but he had just taken out his kind of Tekno race system, sold that off separately, and oh, he made like a little foam pad for his batteries. That's kind of neat. As far as I know, this does not have any of the 0.4 upgrades done to it, although those are pretty simple to do. There's one in particular, the steering Ackerman plate is one of the bigger things that was changed in the 0.4. That just gives it slightly more refined steering geometry. Most of the other 0.3 to 0.4 tweaks were very minor, not really a whole big deal. They did improve some of the axles a little bit, some of the suspension geometry a little bit. They did refine the chassis as well in the 0.4, but I think it was just to make it a little bit more resistant to wear. So this one has a little bit of wear on it, but overall that's just anodization that's worn off. There's no real problem there. I have no concern with the plastics, the Tekno plastics. They're all excellent. They did some things on the 0.4, like they made double nutted outer hinge pins, although I'm seeing that on the rear. So right? Yeah, I'm seeing double nutted hinge pins on the rear already, so there may be some things already done to this that are 0.4 level. I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not 100% familiar enough with it to know just by looking at it, but I've been doing a little bit of research on that. Here's what's new in a 0.4 that this car does not have, but those are things that I could do. Most likely the steering Ackerman plate is the one that I would want to do the most. Here's the things that my car does have. All of the 0.3 features that this car has. There was a pretty big leap in the EB48.2 to the 0.3, and those are all the things that this car has. It's got the mud guards. There may be some selective upgrades that have been done to this, but if you're more familiar with this car, you might be able to spot them more than I can right now. I'm just looking forward to get it up and running to race it. I have already purchased a couple things that I'm going to use to get this going. It came with the servo already. That's, you know, a good $100 savings of getting a good race servo. Really, I just need ESC motor. I can steal a receiver out of one of my on-road cars, and then I can just pair it up with my Sanwa and we're ready to go racing. Electronic speed controls. A lot of people really love the high-end Tekens, hobby wings, something like an RX-8 or an XR8 Pro. To me, look through the marketing a little bit. This one is the best, in my opinion, this one is the best bang for buck 8-scale race ESC that you can get. So this is the XE Run XR8 SCT. They market it for short course trucks, but when you look at what it can do, it's designed for short course trucks to run on 2S at like a 4,000 kV motor, 4,000, 4,600 kV motor. But that also means that it can easily run on 4S with like a 2,000 to 2,200 kV motor. They do mention on here that it's ideal for 8-scale buggies as well. I'm going to put that into this buggy, and that will be good to go. And then for a motor, ideally I would like to put in a 1900 kV motor, but I just don't have one. But I do have this, which I picked up used a while ago, censored motor, and it is a 2250 kV censored motor, a Toro Rocket. So we might put this in this car. If it ends up being where it's a little bit too high kV, then I'll get a 1900 kV, no big deal. Originally I had purchased this to put in my Limitless, which I still haven't even got my Limitless done yet. I still have plenty of projects that I was going to work on in 2020 that just I haven't been touching. A lot of stuff that I plan on doing later in the year if I get time to do it, but this is a part that I can use in this race car, and we can get this up and running. The reason why I'm prioritizing this race car over maybe some of my other just on-road street bashers and stuff is because I'm happy to announce that I am now on an official race team. I have joined Bego Racing. That is a company out of Quebec. They run a hobby shop and they have a track. If you saw some of my videos from last year at the Quebec Classic, that's at the Napierville Dragway. They have an RC track there. That's Bego Racing's home track. It is an 8-scale track. So I had wanted a race spec 8-scale buggy to run at that track and some of the other 8-scale tracks that I might visit in my area. There's none that are really local to me anymore, but those ones are within like a 2-hour drive. I now have a race spec 8-scale buggy. It's certainly not the newest. This is 2 generations old now of Tekno buggies, but Tekno is so refined now that I have absolutely no problem running this, and it certainly has to be better than what I was running before, which is my Arma Typhon, which is just a basher car. But I was pretty happy with racing that. I remember telling people like, oh, I've driven the Tekno around the track. I didn't notice a huge difference. Once I get this dialed in, It will be better, but I'm not sure if it will be game-changingly better. But longevity and tuning options are much better on this than on my Arma. I'm kind of going all in with Tekno. As I mentioned before, if Tekno made a two-wheel drive buggy, I would run that as well. But I'm running the TLR, and I'm quite happy with that TLR, the 2022 5.0 DC Elite. But I've been very, very happy with Tekno stuff, mostly because of how strong they are. Every race that you don't break at, you finish. So that's always a better idea to me, is to be able to finish the races. That's why I love Tekno. I rarely, if ever, have to stop before the race is over because I broke it. It's, you know, I'm still on my original arms on my EB410, and that's 3 years old now. Tekno EB48.3, I will get that running first, and then I will start building out my own leisure time, the EB410.2, because I'm still quite happy with my EB410. I will get that racing again once the tracks reopen, and then I'll start building this one out throughout this season as well, and then I'll be able to compare a difference between them. What else did I get with this buggy? A whole bunch of stuff came with this car. Oh. Okay, this is right full of stuff, and most of this is tires. A set of slide locks. Every package I pull out, there's a full set. So a set of slide locks. These look to be about 70% new. A set of AKA impacts. A set of electrons. A set of fugitives. A set of electro shots not on wheels. A random bag of closed cell foams. Because those are reusable, right? So you can pull these out of cars when you need to. VP-RC turbo tracks. Never heard of turbo tracks before, but they're like a little pin. I know this is not coming out on video. This is like a little pin tire. I also got this bag of extra parts. So let's just take a look. Whoops, that was a bad idea. Okay, let's go through some of this stuff. What did I get here? Let's just go through each thing. So there's tuning springs, front shock, green. These are also some fronts in, who knows, worn off color. That's why I always recommend to put your colors toward the top inside. Here's rears in red. Look at those caster blocks, spindle carriers. These things you would almost never break, but I've got them. Hinge pins. Hinge pins are nice because you might end up bending them someday. So there's a set of hinge pins. Here's what looks to be a rear drive shaft. That's the little one that goes from the diff to the rear end. Nice. Rear hubs. There's quite a bit of money in parts just here. Another set of springs. Orange. This is actually good because I got rid of my... I sold off springs really cheap when I got rid of my truck. More spindles left and right. More hinge pins. These ones are the outer hinge pins. Countersunk washers. Just some random screws. Here's some shock shafts. Shock boots. A shock end cap. Some silicone rings, just some other maintenance parts, more diff seals, more silicone rings, shock rebuild kit with bladders, a spur gear, that's always a good thing to have in case you blow out a spur, wheel nuts, awesome, 8 scale, or 17 mil wheel nuts, those are awesome to have, and then these are all the little tuning blocks that you can do to change your geometry for setups, and some other spring perches. I'm not sure what these guys are here. That looks like more just random parts off the build tree from when you built the car. And we have a pinion. So yeah, that's a pretty good haul. And an extra axle end. That's the wrong term. So yeah. And then, oh, here's another brand new pinion. 19 tooth hard pinion. Diff shim. More shock shafts. That looks like the rears. And then some grubs. Those are all the parts I got with this EB48. Alrighty guys, so that's where we're at. New car, new kit, new parts. I'm going to build out this race car, 8-scale race car, and I'm now on an official racing team, Team Bego Racing 2020. Eventually, I do want to get out there and do a little bit more bashing for you now that the weather's nice, as well as I will get back to the track in the next month or two, and you will start getting some track videos. Hopefully you stuck through me while we've been doing virtual RC racing, while a bunch of the real RC stuff has been taking a little bit of a back seat while this pandemic has been rolling through. But we're going to try and get back on track here in the next few months through summer and into the rest of the year. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're new around here, subscribe. If you want to talk to me, leave a comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching.